Have you ever believed the universe was trying to tell you something? That's exactly what happened to Mike and Ellie. If you enjoy stories about second chances and fate's unexpected twists, hit that like button and subscribe for more heartwarming true stories that remind us why we should never give up on love. The rain pounded mercilessly against Mike's windshield as he drove home from another exhausting shift at the garage. At 38, his life had settled into a predictable rhythm: work, take care of his 10-year-old daughter Lily, sleep, repeat. Dating had become a distant memory, something he'd reluctantly agreed to try again only because his sister wouldn't stop pestering him about getting back out there. Tonight was supposed to be the night, his first blind date in years. But as the storm intensified and his babysitter canceled last minute, Mike felt a wave of relief wash over him. He had a legitimate excuse to postpone the date he'd been dreading for weeks. He'd already composed the apologetic text in his mind when he spotted a stranded car on the shoulder of the road, hazard lights blinking desperately through the downpour. Mike sighed. He couldn't just drive past someone in trouble, not in this weather. Professional habit and basic human decency wouldn't allow it. He pulled over, grabbed his emergency toolkit from the trunk, and jogged through the rain toward the vehicle. Inside sat a woman about his age, frantically tapping at her phone. When he knocked on her window, she jumped, then rolled it down cautiously. "Car trouble?" Mike asked, rain dripping from his baseball cap. "It just died while I was driving," she explained, her voice tinged with frustration. "And of course, tonight of all nights." "Mind if I take a look?" he offered. "I'm a mechanic." Relief flooded her face. "Are you serious? That would be amazing." Mike quickly identified the problem: a loose battery connection combined with a failing alternator. He managed a temporary fix that would get her to her destination, though she'd need proper repairs soon. "You're an absolute lifesaver," she said, offering her hand. "I'm Ellie." "Mike," he replied, shaking her hand. "Happy to help. I can't thank you enough. I was on my way to a blind date, and I was already nervous enough without adding car trouble to the mix." Mike smiled sympathetically. "Blind dates can be rough. I was supposed to have one tonight too, but my babysitter canceled. My daughter comes first." Something flickered across Ellie's face: surprise, then a hint of curiosity. "You have a daughter?" "Lily. She's 10. It's just been the two of us since her mom left when she was 3. Ellie nodded, a strange expression crossing her features. "Well, I should get going. I'm already late." "What do I owe you for the help?" Mike waved her off. "Nothing. Just pay it forward sometime." As Ellie drove away, Mike felt an odd pang of regret. There had been something about her, a warmth in her eyes, the way she'd listened intently when he mentioned Lily. He shook his head and headed home, texting his sister to reschedule the blind date she'd arranged. When his phone pinged with a response, he nearly drove off the road. "Your date just called me. Said a kind mechanic helped fix her car on the way." "Was that you?" "She's still waiting at the restaurant." Mike pulled over, heart pounding. The woman he'd just helped, Ellie, was his blind date? The one his sister had been trying to set him up with for months? The elementary school art teacher she wouldn't stop raving about? For 15 minutes, Mike sat in his truck, debating what to do. He could go home, claim the babysitter situation was real, it was, and reschedule. Or he could call his neighbor Mrs. Peterson, who was always happy to watch Lily in a pinch. Something about Ellie's smile kept replaying in his mind. Before he could talk himself out of it, he dialed Mrs. Peterson. 30 minutes later, Mike walked into the restaurant, scanning the tables until he spotted her. Ellie was sitting alone, absently stirring her drink, looking like she was about to leave. When she glanced up and saw him, her eyes widened in recognition. "You're Katie's brother," she said as he approached. "You're my blind date." Mike nodded, suddenly feeling nervous. "I hope you don't mind that I'm a little late." Had to arrange for a last-minute babysitter. So that wasn't just an excuse to avoid meeting me, she asked with a small smile. Definitely not. I wouldn't have gone through the trouble of finding a sitter if I wasn't interested in meeting you. He paused. Again. Their conversation flowed effortlessly after that initial awkwardness. Mike learned that Ellie had moved to town 2 years ago after ending a long-term relationship with a man who didn't want children. She loved teaching art to elementary school kids and volunteered at the local animal shelter on weekends. She listened attentively as he talked about Lily's soccer games and his dream of owning his own garage someday. I have a confession, Ellie said as they shared dessert. I've been avoiding this blind date for weeks. Katie's been trying to set us up for months, but after my last relationship ended badly, I wasn't sure I was ready. What changed your mind? Mike asked. Honestly? She wore me down, Ellie laughed. But now I'm glad she did. As they left the restaurant, the rain had stopped, leaving the streets glistening under the streetlights. Mike walked Ellie to her car, both of them reluctant for the evening to end. I should probably get that alternator fixed properly, she said, gesturing to her car. I could help with that, Mike offered. Maybe this weekend? I could bring Lily, she loves helping in the garage. Ellie's face lit up. I'd like that. I'd really like to meet her. Their first kiss was brief but perfect, a gentle promise of possibilities. As Mike drove home that night, he couldn't help but think about how close he'd come to missing this chance. If he hadn't stopped to help a stranded motorist, if he'd just sent that cancellation text a few minutes earlier. The next few months brought a gradual blending of lives. Ellie fixed Lily's car as promised, and Lily, initially wary of another adult in her father's life, slowly warmed to Ellie's patient kindness. Their first real test came when Lily had a meltdown after Ellie stayed for dinner 3 nights in a row. Are you going to leave us too? Lily had demanded, tears streaming down her face. Like Mom did? The question hung in the air, raw and painful. Mike started to intervene, but Ellie knelt down to Lily's level. I can't promise what the future holds, she said honestly. But I can promise that I really care about both you and your dad. And I'm not looking to replace anyone, I just want to be part of your lives, if you'll let me. It wasn't an immediate fix, but it was a beginning. Lily started opening up more, eventually asking if Ellie could help with her art project for school. The day Lily proudly brought home an A on that project was the day Mike realized he was falling in love. Their relationship wasn't without challenges. Mike's ex-wife suddenly reappeared after 7 years of minimal contact, wanting to reconnect with Lily. The timing, just as things were getting serious with Ellie, seemed suspicious to Mike, triggering old insecurities. Maybe we should slow things down, he suggested to Ellie one night after Lily was asleep. With Lily's mom back in the picture, everything's complicated. I need to focus on what's best for my daughter. Ellie's face fell, but she nodded. I understand. Lily comes first. For 2 weeks, they barely saw each other. Mike threw himself into managing the delicate situation with his ex-wife, who quickly revealed her true intentions. She needed money and thought reconnecting with her daughter might soften Mike up. When he refused, she disappeared again, leaving Lily devastated. It was Ellie who helped pick up the pieces, showing up at their door with art supplies and patience. She spent hours with Lily, helping her express her feelings through painting while Mike watched in awe. I'm sorry, he told Ellie later that night. I pushed you away when things got hard. That's exactly what I promised myself I wouldn't do again. We all get scared sometimes, Ellie replied. The question is whether we let that fear make our decisions for us. 6 months after their first date, Mike took Ellie back to the spot where he'd fixed her car. He'd arranged for Lily to be with his sister for the evening and had spent weeks planning this moment. Why are we stopping here? Ellie asked, confused as Mike pulled onto the shoulder of the road. This is where it all began, he said, taking her hand as they got out of the truck. Where fate or luck or whatever you want to call it gave us a second chance at a first meeting. The sunset painted the sky in brilliant oranges and pinks as Mike dropped to one knee, pulling out a small velvet box. "I wasn't looking for love when I stopped to help you that night," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "I was just doing what seemed right. But now I know it was the best decision I ever made. You've brought so much joy into our lives, mine and Lily's. You've shown me that taking chances is worth it, that opening your heart doesn't always lead to pain." Tears welled in Ellie's eyes as he continued. "I don't want to just fix your car anymore. I want to build a life with you. Ellie, will you marry me?" "Yes," she whispered, pulling him to his feet and into her arms. 1,000 times yes. Their wedding was small but perfect. Lily served as both flower girl and best daughter, proudly walking down the aisle ahead of Ellie. During the ceremony, they included a special moment where all three of them poured different colored sand into a single container, a symbol of their separate lives becoming one family. 1 year after that rainy night when Mike stopped to help a stranded motorist, they welcomed twins into their family, a boy and a girl who completed their circle of love. And every year on the anniversary of their first meeting, they drove out to that same stretch of road, rain or shine, to remember how close they came to missing each other completely. Life isn't always about grand gestures or perfect timing. Sometimes, it's about simple acts of kindness that set unexpected events in motion. For Mike and Ellie, a broken-down car and a cancelled babysitter weren't obstacles, they were the universe's way of making sure they didn't miss their chance at happiness. So the next time you're tempted to drive past someone who needs help, or cancel plans because you're nervous, remember Mike and Ellie. Your soulmate might be just one good deed away. If this story touched your heart, please like this video and subscribe to our channel for more real-life love stories that remind us all that second chances and fate's gentle nudges are always working in mysterious ways, even when, especially when, we least expect them.